So I just got out of seeing Sonic the Hedgehog this afternoon, and this movie was drenched in controversy after the horrifying reveal for the character design back in 2019. So much so, in fact, that the backlash triggered the director and the CGI artist to go back and rework the character animation for every single one of the scenes that they had already produced to make it more comical-like and less like what they made it. And it definitely paid off. The design looks immaculate, fantastic, true to the character. Not overly cartoony, but just cartoony enough to portray what Sonic would actually look like, especially in a live-action setting. And they did a phenomenal job. Now, this sets a very excellent precedent for the film industry and Hollywood as a whole. Paramount should be very proud of themselves. However, and I'm kind of mixed on this, the animation studio that made the design was subsequently closed down after they edited the film and, after they reworked the film and put it out there. Once their job was done, they were shut down, I think, by Paramount. Now, I'm kind of mixed on that because that's they put in the time to fix their mistake, but they did make the mistake in the first place, so it's possible that after showing such carelessness, that Paramount wanted to shut them down and just be like, yeah, no, you're not getting another chance, pack your bags, see you later, fix your mess, and go home. Also possibly to cut their losses, depending on how this movie would do. Who knows? I'm kind of mixed on it, but I do appreciate the precedent, nonetheless, that they've set, because now they're listening to the fans, and granted, the fans shouldn't be able to dictate the direction of a story, but if you're adapting a beloved work, a beloved IP, and you're trying to make money off it, you need to listen to fans' feedback, because they're the ones that the first that are going to pay the tickets and give you your return on investment. But also, you're taking something that wasn't yours and you're trying to make money from it. You're taking something that you didn't create, and you need to do honor by it, by the source material that you want to adapt. Otherwise, what's the point? And fans do have a right to voice their outrage if they feel like they're being insulted, which that design most certainly was. So I'm firmly on the side of the fans when it comes to the Sonic movie, and rightfully so. Now, in regards to the studio shutting down, again, that's messy, but again, I digress. Let's talk about the movie itself and what they were able to produce. Sonic the Hedgehog was an absolute blast. The precedent of reworking the character and actually being humble instead of, say, like Disney Lucasfilm has been, with Kathleen Kennedy, the writers, Rian Johnson, setting an absolute disgusting precedent for how they've treated the fans, constructive or otherwise, when it comes to their movies. All those films are perfect in their eyes. I can give credit to J.J. Abrams for not following suit with Ryan. He seemed a lot more humble and willing to listen to criticism. And Colin Trevorrow, the past works he's released, he can't write to save his life, but at least he has the fans in mind. He wants them to have a good time. And he's always put the fans first, and I can respect that. Rian Johnson and Lucasfilm, however, do not. But it's very obvious after watching Sonic that the crew behind Sonic did. They made a mistake, they owned up to it, and they fixed it. It's just a shame the studio closed down. But Sonic the Hedgehog, as a whole, as a movie, was fantastic. I loved it. I'm going to get into my negatives towards the end of the video, but, I mean, look, it's an average, maybe slightly above average, like, kids movie, but it excels as a Sonic movie in what it's trying to be for the characters that it has. In terms of, like, how it nails the characters, well, there's only one character from the Sonic universe in this. Oh, there's two. There's Eggman and there's Sonic. Sonic was a fucking gem. Sonic was amazing. Sonic was every bit as charismatic as we'd expect. He was funny. He was cool. I think Sonic is more so supposed to be, cool and confident. The very adventurous, rebellious type of, cartoon character. But in this movie, they kind of brought him a little bit down to earth. He's not as... Because I actually went back and I watched the old Sonic X anime. I think it's an anime, or is it just a cartoon? I don't know. I don't know if it's Western produced or not. Anyway, the cartoon that I used to watch when I was a kid, before I go to school, I used to watch Sonic X with my brother, and now that's on Netflix, by the way. You can go watch it yourself if you like. And I watched it just because I wanted to compare the portrayals of the character. In the cartoon / anime, Sonic was way more like cool and confident and edgy. Whereas in this one, they made him more of a sympathetic sort of character, which I appreciated. But they got the core beats of Sonic right. He's still cool. He's still funny. He's still daring. He's still reckless. But yeah, they portray him in a light where he's true to the source material, mind you. He's on an unknown world, separated from his kind, and he has to adjust to his surroundings. And he's trying to reap the fruits of Earth without actually blending in with the populace. He essentially has everything he could want on planet Earth. He's a supersonic, fast as hell, superpowered hedgehog. He's extraordinary, but the one thing his power can't grant him is friends, loved ones. His powers are actually keeping him from belonging on planet Earth, and he needs to. That's his struggle. The start of the movie makes you really feel bad for him because he has all these people he watches all the time. He's kind of a stalker in the beginning, but you can understand because he's in total isolation. He's trying to just keep himself from being bored. He's super fast, mind you, so it means his brain works super fast as well. It's easy for someone like Sonic, who's as adventurous and rebellious, to get bored. And again, he'll read 1,000 comics inside of a day. He'll play every sport under the sun with himself before the end of the day. He'll go to he's just a loner. And it's really sad because you get again, everyone's been there. And I think this is an excellent movie for kids everywhere to watch because we've all felt like the outsider, we've all felt like the outlier, something that's keeping us from sort of connecting with the kids at school, fitting in at work, you name it. And this movie really helps you get behind the character of Sonic. And this movie is funny, guys. This movie is hilarious. I laughed. Not just Sonic. Just about every character made me laugh. There was one character I had an issue with. But the humor, these guys, whoever wrote this, the screenplay is great in terms of being entertaining and making me laugh. Did a fantastic job at that. This movie needed to be entertaining first and foremost because, let's be frank, this movie is beyond ludicrous. But for a ludicrous movie, in terms of being entertaining and keeping my interest and making me stay along for the ride, it did a great job. There's one towards the end of the movie where it kind of got I couldn't suspend my disbelief any longer. I'm like, yeah, okay, that should have been fixed. That should have been fixed. Times where they go a little bit too far, even for this movie, but that could have been fixed if they were just tweaked a little bit, which kind of annoyed me, to be perfectly honest, but we'll get to that. Jim Carrey. Jesus Christ. This man was a perfect choice for Eggman. He's over the top, as you'd expect him to be, and I don't think this character would have worked as well in the hands of anyone else. Maybe Nicolas Cage, but Jim Carrey fucking owned this role. He owned the ridiculousness, and he was a joy to watch every single time. Some of it was a tiny bit cringe. He has a few, shall we call them private moments where he's just by himself and he's just spazzing out or dancing. And I'm just like, okay. But for the majority, he's just an utter spastic crazy man, and we love him for it. He portrayed Eggman very, very well. And by the end of you've no doubt seen the trailer already. By the end of the film, he becomes full-blown Eggman, and he still owns it. He really looked like he had a great time in this role. And it's easy to see why. James Marsden was great. I mean, he wasn't like Logan or anything like that. He was just he was actually portrayed he portrayed his character as well as you'd expect. The dynamic between him and Sonic sells very well. I think he was very well cast for this role. Again, his character, I had trouble remembering his name, so that's not exactly. He's not the most memorable character, obviously, but in terms of his dynamic with Sonic, they played off each other very, very well. The human characters, he has his girlfriend. She was funny. I think she was well cast as well. There was his girlfriend's sister. No, I think it was his wife, actually. Yeah, okay, his wife's sister. She's one of those characters that annoys the shit out of you, but she also is the movie is self-aware that she's annoying. So in other words, all the characters hated her as well. And there's a part towards the end of the movie where they hate her so much that, or they just find her so annoying that they actually tie her up in her own house, and it's pretty funny. Even her daughter doesn't help her because she's just so sick of her own mother. It's pretty funny. Sonic's antics throughout the movie, and the movie just doesn't let up with Sonic and his antics, which I loved. Yeah, it's constantly entertaining you. Sonic's just doing something, picking fights with people, letting his curiosity get the better of him. And yeah, the pacing's great for this movie. I think the action, there could have been a little bit more action for my taste personally, but in terms of the characters and the pacing, this movie did a phenomenal job. There's one character that annoyed the shit out of me that was irredeemable, and that was the deputy sheriff, and you'll know him when you see him. I did not like that character. I think he was a wasted screen time. None of his jokes landed for me. Hated him. I was like, just get this guy off the screen. Let's get back to Sonic and James Marsden, please. And they did. The fight sequences, the action was great, save for the ending, which I still liked, but like I said, it went a little bit too far because, what I liked about Eggman's character, Jim Carrey's character, it makes it very clear that he himself is a loner like Sonic, but unlike Sonic, I think this is a good dynamic. It shows how the opposite of each character. Eggman's a loner because he chooses to be. He despises people. He grew up putting his faith in machines. Whereas Sonic used to have friends, but he spent a great deal of time on planet Earth, and he's a loner, but he doesn't want to be. He's a loner by circumstance, not by choice, and he wants to connect with people. So I think that was good how the protagonist and antagonist play off each other like that their backstories and whatnot. But what I'm getting at is Eggman, again, he sees humans as expendable, he doesn't like them, but he's not a murderer per se. The government hires him to do a job because he's supposedly the best in his field. I can get behind that. He has all these drones and gadgets. I can get behind that too. There's a highway sequence that I really liked because he's trying to kill or capture Sonic, but he's not trying to, shall we say, attack civilians. And even when he does, because sometimes he misses Sonic and he hits civilian cars, but none of the devices he's using are directly lethal. So for example, he EMPs a civilian's car, and I was like, okay, because I thought it was a bomb, but it wasn't a bomb. It was just an EMP, and it shut down the civilian's car. And I'm like, okay, well they could have crashed, but at least the device itself wouldn't have directly been lethal. Just if they died, it would have been and the unfortunate after effect of the device he was using. So Eggman as an antagonist was great, but at the end, it just goes balls out crazy. He starts flying after Sonic with all these drones and with a lethal flying jet of his own making, and he's chasing Sonic at crazy, ludicrous speeds throughout a populated city, and he's shooting missiles at Sonic. And I'm just like, yeah, what the I was just like, you're gonna kill civilians. Is this not, again, isn't the government gonna have an issue with this? Don't you have an issue with this? Again, this is the one thing that kind of pissed me off. I was like, come on, guys. If he was using, stun rounds at the start, and then Sonic, because then Sonic uses his rings to warp between, warp to different places on Earth. And again, there's a few issues with that too, but at least when he warps to Egypt, for example, if Eggman just said, okay, big mistake, you're out of a populated area, I'm now going to use lethal force on you, because he just wanted to kill or capture Sonic. Capture alive if possible, kill him if he preferred to kill him, that would have been the easier option anyway, probably. But if he was in Egypt, which he was, and it was a wilderness, that's when he chose to use lethal rounds, then I could get behind that a lot better. But he just uses missiles in the middle of a city, and I was just like, come on, man. This is, really, I was able to suspend my disbelief up to that point. But now I'm just like, yeah, no more. And he actually uses a cluster of missiles on the roof of a building, which could have collapsed I don't know if it would have collapsed the whole building, but it would have done some damage. And yeah, I just don't really agree with the whole lethal force in a populated area. Because again, this guy's not a murderer. He doesn't like people, and he almost killed James Marsden's wife, but that's because she was an accomplice. He's basically just hunting them down because he sees this alien threat as like a terrorist attack, whatnot. And he wants to harness Sonic's power, so he doesn't really care about Sonic or James Marsden, and basically anyone who's an accomplice. He wants to kill them. I say that I as a motivation, as his motivation to do that, I can get behind that. Because again, he's the bad guy. But killing innocents, I can't get that wasn't set up well enough, and I don't think he would. But he just doesn't care and just starts shooting missiles in the middle of a city. That's where it kind of lost me. Also, he uses a ring to teleport James Marsden and his wife to safety. They end up back in the country town where they started from. And it's very clearly daylight. They land in one of the guy's farms and whatnot. So then Sonic takes Eggman for a chase around the world. And by the time he actually somehow teleports himself back to the town, and a whole day must have passed, because when he gets back to the town, it's nighttime, and we just saw, maybe that was a reshoot, I don't know, but they shot the scene at night when it was very clearly daytime when they got teleported back there. And I'm like, that is such a break of continuity, because the sequence only lasted about a minute and a half. And there sure as hell wasn't a time jump. So, like, those are my two biggest issues with Sonic. The more I think about it, the more I'm sure I'll find others. Again, this is a movie with a ludicrous premise. So, again, you expect, you're more forgiving as ludicrous things happen, you know, where for example, characters get away with, breaking the law in some instances, or, explosions not working when they should in terms of their lethality. But I'd say this movie did a very good job of keeping me entertained and invested despite its lunacy, all the way up until the final act, where it just kind of went balls out completely insane. But the ending itself, like the final battle, the very end, I thought that was pretty well done. I enjoyed the final conflict. There's definitely wait for the mid-credit scene. I'm sure that's going to make a lot of people happy, and I enjoyed the very end of the movie was very satisfying. As a former watcher of the Sonic anime, and as a player of the games, someone who's loved the character for a long time, I really didn't expect to see this movie. But when I heard that when I saw how they put themselves through all that effort to remake the design for Sonic, I was on board, and it made me actually very excited. This is probably, like, I haven't seen 1917 yet. I was excited to see that, but I just didn't get around to watching it. I still can, I may, who knows. But I just told myself I'm not going to miss Sonic, because these guys looked like they gave a fuck. And this is a character that I've loved in the past. I want to see what they do with him, see if they can defy my expectations and make a fun, entertaining, and investing movie for me. And they did, and I really enjoyed it. Sonic was an absolute blast. Not flawless, an average family-friendly movie, but it is dripping with personality. It is very, very funny, action-packed mostly. Again, charismatic, paced well, keeps your interest, gets you invested, makes you care about the characters, and I really, really loved it. So, hope this review has, take what you will from this review. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry I didn't script this out. I usually script all my reviews and my videos out, but I wanted to get something out there, give you my thoughts on Sonic. Hope you enjoyed. Definitely check out Sonic. You shouldn't be disappointed. I certainly wasn't. And I'll see you all next time. Cheers.